Today, Scorcher Toys at anymoon.com is finally looking at the Bandai DX Grenade Box Protection Heavy Armor for their DX line of VF1 toys. As of the filming of this video, there are two different versions of this armor that could be purchased in one of three ways. First up were the anime color version, which could be purchased either as a standalone accessory through the Tamashii webshop or bundled with a Hikaru VF1J at retail. The accessory comes in the Tamashii shipper, which houses a regular retail-looking package, which is conveniently the same dimensions as a standalone VF1 release. If you already owned a VF1J Hikaru, or wanted to apply the GBP to any other one-seat DX VF1, this was a convenient option. If you didn't already own a Hikaru VF1J, then the gift set was a very nice choice. Bandai really stepped up their packaging for this release. There's an attractive exterior sleeve that houses a book-style box delivering the VF1J on one side and the GBP on the other, with big windows on either side to appreciate the contents. The later Roy Fokker TV reissue VF1S with GBP also comes in a sleeve that celebrates the Tamashii event where it was first available, but ditches the book-style box in favor of a bloated version of the standard DX VF1 box. The Roy armor scheme was never in the anime and is instead inspired by a classic Nichimo model kit, and there's even an homage to the model's box art on one side of the DX box. The VF1J included with the Hikaru gift set comes with everything from previous releases except the special launch edition flight mode stand. The notable difference on the VF1J toy is that the nose cone has the reinforced latch to make it less likely to bump askew when handling. The VF1S Roy gift set reflects the updated contents for TV releases. This means you no longer receive 3 pairs of fixed-posed, movie-style, mechanical-looking hands with a single pair of rounded TV hands. Instead, you receive 3 pairs of TV-style fixed-posed hands. As always, the fully articulated hands come installed on the toy, and Roy otherwise comes with everything from his original release, and the VF1 is unchanged. The anime color GBP includes some extras not included with the Roy armor. Since there's no art of Roy's VF1S with head armor, only the anime version includes an additional 1J head with the gray visor. The anime color version also comes with a Hikaru pilot wearing his full environmental helmet. Finally, the anime color's armor includes a VF1 neck filler with chair to simulate the on and off boarding of the vehicle. Why didn't Roy get these things? There's room in the trays, so it's just not clear. Enough chitter-chatter, let's put these parts on the toy. We're going to begin with this piece, the back of the forearm. It goes in like so, and you can see the top fits right on the lip there. And then we have this piece here, which just slides over the top and clicks right into place. You can see some very nice tampo printing there about the joint access, tampo along the edges. The thing we don't get on the Bandai DX that we got on the Yamato is these grenades here are not removable. Moving on to the shoulder, we have this sleeve piece right here, which does have a little clip that comes on the inside. So we have our shoulder cover. This goes on the inside and it kind of locks onto that shoulder cover. And then we have the actual missile pod seen here. And unlike the Yamato 148, which had some screws on the side, no screw holes here. Again, beautiful tampo printing, and we have the ability to slide forward and then open up this very stiff hinge here, which exposes the missiles inside. Now, unlike the Yamato 148, which has individual missiles you can remove, and then a dark plate underneath, the Bandai DX here has a white plate on the inside that I don't think looks nearly as good, and those missiles are already installed and glued into place, so they're not going anywhere. We can close that up. Once you have that inner cover on, you just slide that right into position. Now we're going to go ahead and put that pelvic armor on, so I'm going to open up my wings and get your arms in a position where you can do that no problem. We're going to grab the back of the pelvis armor, and we're going to push this nose cone behind the toy like so. Grab this piece here, line it up, watch out for your wing flaps, and that'll go on like so. Spin the toy back around and you've got this front cover piece. There is no articulated thighs like we had on the Yamato 48. This is all just one big solid piece, which we can line up and push into position like so. Once we have it in position, we can grab our intake cover pieces, which have a big slot in the front, which receives that big slot right there. And we can just kind of fit those into position and press down into there like so. And then grab your side hip holsters, which look like this. And these have some gimmicks to them too. First, we have a removable cover, which shows a grenade inside. I would have much preferred this to actually swing out on a hinge, because this is a very easy to lose piece. Now, when you go to remove these parts for the first time, you will learn how this magic works. Let's get this back on there if we can. There it goes. There is a piece internally here, which is difficult to remove, but it is just the 3 missiles pointing outward. So again, when you go to pull this off, it's probably the first time you'll see that. So if I put this on and then pull that free, there's those grenades inside the hip armor. And we're just gonna repeat on the other side. Now we're gonna install the backpack boosters. So grab your brace out of your parts tray and your booster. Unlike the Yamato 148, you can't just plug it right into the backpack. It has to go into this brace. You wanna have that nice and flush throughout. There should be no gaps. So like so. And then we're gonna open up the wings and we are going to slide the booster up. And at this point, I'm gonna flip it over here. And you need to just fish it behind the booster, a little outward pressure to help get it around the backpack, a little downward pressure to help get it through where it needs to go, a little wiggle jiggle. It will find home, and then we can flip it back up like so, and just rock these parts into the backpack. See, on the one side it fit right away, there it goes. Should be nice and flush up against the backpack. And we do have these articulated nozzles right here. Not a huge range of motion, but a nice little plus. To install the leg armor, we're first gonna get the foot ready. So what we're gonna do is bring that foot all the way down, and we're gonna bring our kneecap out. Let's see if we can get that working. Okay, get that kneecap out. We got a little bit of extension at that knee, and we're going to take our little fin here and we're gonna fold that over, and we're gonna repeat over here. Now spin your toy around, and we are gonna start on the back of the leg with this armor piece here. Now there are pegs that are received and they are not right in the center of the leg, so you do have to make sure you're grabbing the right part. Start with the bottom peg, line that up, and then press in at the top for a nice flush fit. Grab your inner leg armor and just plug that into the slots on the inside. Nice and easy. We will spin the toy around now. Grab your front of the armor. Now there's some art, either front will work, but there's different painted on art, so you can determine which leg you want that art on. I'm going with what's on the box here. So we line up the pegs in the front, apply a little bit of pressure, and then grab our exterior armor. And again, we're gonna line up the pegs, and then this time we have to line them up front and back. So here we go. I'm in the front, and I'm applying a little pressure. So I will be in the front and the back. And there we go. Now we have that full leg armor installed, and we do have some opening missile bays on the side here. This time we do get individual missiles that can pop free. This bay also opening up. And then as we spin the toy around, we have 2 more missile bays here. Unfortunately, these are not the individual missile types, and you see that white rectangle underneath. So not a great look on these back missile bays, but they are on the back of the leg, so not sure how much that will matter for you. But that's not all. We also get shoes, covers for the feet that make the feet look nice and beefy like they do in the line art. There's one that just slides on the front of the foot, And then there's one that's going to slide right onto the back of the foot. And there's a little lip on it, and that helps guide you as to which side is the bottom. And then once that's on, a much beefier looking foot. And we're going to repeat all those steps on the other side. And now we're going to put that chest armor on. The chest armor also opens. And as you open it, let's see if we can make it a little visible here. As you open it, the missiles slide forward just a little bit to make for a better presentation. To put this on the toy, it just clips on. So line up those hinges at the top and then apply a little inward pressure. There's little clasps that grab the chest and it'll be on there nice and sturdy. Now it's time to choose the hands you want to use, and you can just pop your articulated hand off the toy. If you want to use the jumbo huge, kind of matches some of the art fist, just go ahead and plug that on. It'll still be able to rotate and bob around a little bit. Maybe you want to use the TV style fixed posed hand. That comes with both of these GBPs. And now if you have the Roy, you also have some other TV options like this open hand that you can use with the armor as well. So lots of options to choose from. Pick the ones right for you. Back in my day, GBPs always had a hard time holding the gun. Well, not so much anymore. We can use the TV style fixed posed hand for holding the gun, put the gun on there, and you can put this thing in a pose where it's firing and looking very natural, so high points there. If you're playing dress up with Hikaru, you're gonna go ahead and now lift up on the head and remove the original, and then grab your version with the armored visor on it. It's a ball joint. You're gonna line it up and you're gonna push it back into place, and there it goes. If you got the anime version, you could pull the head all the way forward and you had a seat, a little accessory that came only with the anime version and that you could fit right back behind the head like so, and then grab your pilot figure. Again, the anime version comes with a helmeted pilot figure. We could put them on that seat, and then Hikaru's ready to launch and go fight those bad guys. Now he could be getting out of the GBP after the fact, but in the show that wouldn't have been the case. It is too bad, for whatever reason, Bandai didn't feel like Roy should get this treatment. I think it would have been a cool extra there too. I don't want to sell these hip grenades short. There is another feature. You can go ahead and pop the grenade off the side. It just fits in via a large peg into a slot. You could theoretically then put it in a hand. We don't really have a hand that's meant for lobbing grenades. The grenade is much smaller than the missiles. This is the missile from the leg bay, and certainly much smaller than what we see on the exterior here. Yamato has a 1/48 scale where you pop this grenade off and you can put it in the hands, and I prefer that, although I think had we been able to marry up the two, it would have been really cool. But this is still a nice feature to have, if not the best implementation. Now I know a lot of you are looking at this anime color version and saying, hey, what's with this color of blue? And I think it's really important for everyone to understand that when Macross and Robotech made it to the home video market, there was this blue shift that happened in the video that turned things like Roy's flight suit from a gray color to a purple color. And it turned the heavy armor from a gray blue to a very blue blue. And so what Bandai has done here is given us that original anime color, and I think it looks absolutely fantastic. And if you look at the proportions and compare it to, say, the line art or Yamato's 1/48 GBP, you'll notice that Bandai friggin' nailed it. They did such a fantastic job. It looks absolutely phenomenal. And that, of course, extends to the paint applications. So many little details and warnings on this armor that absolutely make it out of pop in a way no previous version of this armor has. It looks gorgeous. And as we move on to Roy, you might be thinking, oh, it's a bummer. It's got that one still on the chest. They didn't do something different with the yellow triangle on the abdomen. It would have been cool to see them do some other things. And I don't disagree with you, but it's important to remember that this is a homage to the Nichimo model, which does have those few details very specifically outlined in the art that they copied. So yes, it probably makes sense for those to be different. Now what they did do, and again, Nichimo did this as well, They changed the squadron number on the armor, so it does say 001 instead of 101. So there is that minor tweak, but I think it would have been nice to see some other differences there, something creative. But I get that this is just an homage. So yeah, it's the most beautiful heavy armor, but does it handle well? That's really where the rubber meets the road for these toys. And the underlying DX toy has these amazing ankles to it. And with those amazing ankles, we don't have the issues we have on Yamato toys, where you have these ratchets and the toy will lean forward or lean back. Instead, you can have a ton of fun handling this toy, and the armor stays on very nice and solid, and the legs can splay way far outward, and you can grab your ankle and you can pull it further out and twist it however you want to get everything. And as I handle this, yeah, some pieces might get a little askew, but everything is staying on the toy and it's very easy for me to adjust it. I can actually play with this armor, which is not something you can do with every grenade box protection out there. So very high marks. I really, really enjoy this as a display piece and as a toy, which I know it's an adult collectible, but it's still a toy, and that is fantastic. And if you want to use the included display stand, we have this big adapter here. The adapter is a little clunky to use. It's a very tight fit. I find it's best to bring the legs forward. And while we're doing this, I want to point out one issue I have, and that is the crotch, front and back come together with the tiniest little peg, and it seems like it gets a gap there. It's not perfect, so that could have been a little bit better. And then we have to fish this display stand adapter back in there. And this is a tight fit. As you can see, there's very little room on either side. And then you end up getting the armor into that little slot in the adapter. Once you have it in this position, you can then get the legs however you want them. And it will elevate the toy and make it so you don't have any sort of issues with balance. That's about it, but you know, you'd be amazed by how much fun you could have with it when you don't have to care about what the feet are doing. Sounds pretty good so far. What's wrong with it? Well, very minor things. The wing flaps get bumped into by the crotch armor. I find myself very frequently having to pop these back into position as I handle the toy, so that can be a little frustrating. On the Roy, we have a weird manufacturing issue, and it might just be the color which shows it. There's almost a stress mark or a swirl in the plastic right here. And at first I was like, well, maybe I yanked this off too hard, but check this out. It's the exact same thing on the other side. I'm not sure you'll be able to see this. And I checked my photos from when I opened this up, and they're present. So this is a weird manufacturing issue. Super hard to see. I don't think anything's gonna come of it, but it's just an odd thing to have on what is otherwise a nearly perfect rendition of the armor. When Bandai released the DX VF1, I said, hey, this is the best VF1 toy out there, but I'm a little frustrated with it because they didn't use the size to do anything truly remarkable, right? They made us this really beautiful, well-articulated VF1, but they could have gone the next level and integrated some new features we haven't had before. And this heavy armor follows that to a T. It is beautiful. It handles very well. It is obviously the new best, barely outshining the Yamato 160 V2, but it hasn't brought too much new to the table. We got those weird different hip things going on, but that's really it. And so if you were expecting this evolution from the size, you don't get that, but you do have an incredibly playable, incredibly beautiful display piece. So it's very easy for me to recommend. It is the new best. If you have enjoyed this review, please give me a thumbs up. If you think I missed something or have something to add, leave a comment. Do subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching.